In this opportunity, we will learn about the Uruguay location for Business Central. As you know, all our localizations can be installed directly from the app source. This means that they are certified by Microsoft's best practices. When you install the localization, it will bring us different fields and functionalities that will allow us to comply with the fiscal requirements demanded by the Uruguayan tax authority. We are going to generate first a general parameterization to know the fields, then a flow to know the fields, then an operative transactional flow to know the functionalities, and finally export the different localization reports. We are going to start from the purchasing module by entering suppliers, and in suppliers we are going to go to the file of any supplier. Apart from all the standard configuration that the system displays, we are going to find physical characterization fields. These fields can be the type of identification, if it is an ID card, if it is a unique constituent registry, if it is any other type of identification. With the subject of the identification card, we have the calculation of the verification digit. When we enter an identification card number that has the 7 digits required by law, the system automatically calculates the verification digit based on the number of the identification card. The system will automatically generate the script with the verification digit based on calculations. This same functionality can also be found in the single constituent registry. We will also find fields such as the type of constituent, whether it is an individual, a legal entity, public entities, or foreigners. We will also find fields for VAT withholdings and income tax withholdings. In these fields, we are going to inform it in the supplier's record to automate the process, and that when I am executing a purchase document, the system will suggest the different withholding codes. The codes can also be modified within that purchasing document. In these codes, we will be able to create as many codes as I need. For example, I have the withholding of income tax for individuals, and I have the withholding of land transportation services. Right? We can still include as many different codes as I need. For VAT withholding, I have a concept that is VAT withholding at 20%. That's it. Other fields that we are going to find is in the product master, the additional tax. It is normal and common that a product has or transacts with the general tax, in this case the 22%, and also if the product requires it, it is going to transact with that additional tax, in this case a selective consumption tax. Okay? Simultaneously, it will be able to transact with these two tax codes. And here we can create as many concepts as we need. Now let's create a purchase invoice. We make a purchase invoice and we see the withholding behavior. We start a new purchase invoice and select the name of the supplier. We type the document number. In this case, it will be our document 11. And select the items and/or services. For this example, we will select the first two items. Enter the quantity. And notice how the system brings me as a suggestion the different withholdings to apply in this document. Which we have previously parameterized to our supplier. If we wish, for example, to modify it, in this case, I will select another code because we are still going to be able to do it within the purchase invoice. Here we have the VAT withholding, income withholding, and the selective consumption tax in this case. If is usual to establish it in the purchase invoice. Note that per line we can have different withholding codes. That is, we can apply a third line, applying a service, and that service may have a withholding percentage or no withholding. no withholding, and we can keep track of that. Once we have performed this audit, we are now going to indicate in preview to see the behavior that the different codes have in each of the modules of Business Central. Here, we can observe the different movements that have made these withholdings. For example, in VAT movements, we will be able to visualize the calculation that the system makes for each of these concepts. What is the base and the amount in this case of VAT? What is the base? And the amount of the retention showing me the negative value, since it is going to count the value to be paid to the supplier equal to the VAT retention, withholding 20%. And also the selective consumption tax that is going to increase the base. All these amounts travel to the accounting movements. Okay, in the accounting movements, we are going to find the distribution that the system makes to each of the amounts in each of the accounting accounts. For example, let's select this accounting account. Here we see that it says ISR withholding, and it has an amount of 317,858. This means that this amount, which is in negative, is going to be charged in this case to the withholding account. This point is fully parameterizable, since we tell the system to which account I want each of the amounts to travel, to which accounting account do I want it to go when a purchase is made, to which accounting account do I want it to go when a sale is made. Salad? Okay, finish the review. We can visualize the account payable and notice that this value that we already have here comes with the sum of the taxes minus the withholding. So withholdings, right? Let's just record and save that purchase invoice. Are we done? Other document types that we can issue in the purchase module are the purchase debit notes. This concept is brought to us as standard by Business Central. Here we have developed this type of document. To work with it, we are going to indicate a new purchase debit note. In the same way, we select the supplier. We link the debit note number. In this case, I will select the same one, the invoice that is going to be related to this debit note. And in this case, I'm going to select accounting account to, let's say, place any account. In this case, I'm going to put service. Okay, I will make a debit note for service. Amount 1, cost, let's say 2,500. And here we have the different columns to establish the different withholding concepts of retentions. We are going to indicate a preview. We will verify that everything is correct, showing me the base and the calculation of each of these taxes and withholdings. And finally, we register our debit note. We have created the document to work it in process and also the historical of registered purchase debit notes. That here we are going to store all these purchase debit notes. All the columns of retentions, we are going to be able to find them in the purchase order, in the credit notes, in what would be return orders. All these documents, we are going to be able to add the withholding concepts to the withholding concepts in order to be able to take it to the accounting or when the invoice is made. Okay, now let's go to sales and go to a sales invoice. Okay, here we are already in the sales module and we are going to make a sale. We will indicate new, and in the same way I'm going to select the name of the customer. In this case, this customer, we can navigate through the customer's file quickly, and in it we are going to find the different fields, physical classification fields. For example, citizenship card, we can delete this digit and type in the 7 numbers. The 7 numbers and it will automatically add the calculation of the verification digit. The same with the type of taxpayer. If they usually apply withholdings in the sales module, then we will also be able to select in a suggested way the different withholding concepts. Okay, we select this customer and make the sale of a product or service. In this case, we just bought this product, 25, and we can see how the system shows me, first of all, the IT and the selective consumption tax. In this case, remember that you can create as many codes as you need. This tax goes to what would be parallel to the general tax. Similarly, we can also report withholding concepts if, for example, the sale is subject to withholding control. If, for example, the sale is susceptible to control withholdings, we indicate a preview. Let's verify that all the calculation is being done correctly in VAT movements. Here we have our excise tax with what would be its amount. And also in accounting movements, the distribution of the amounts to each of the accounting accounts. Okay? Finally, we register. And this way, we have the sales invoice. Finally, let's go to the different reports offered by the localization. On the one hand, before leaving, we also have the debit notes in the sales module. It works in the same way as the purchase debit note. Let's show you the withholding ledger. The ledger where we can control the different withholdings that we are issuing. The withholdings report with its different registration filter. In this case, I can select the supplier, the type of withholding, if it is VAT, if it is ISR, ESR. I can export all the reports to an Excel file. Here we export our report so that we can open it, which is what you are seeing on the screen. Okay? Here we have it, date, name of the subject, identification number, and some sample data, such as the base, the percent, and what the amount would be. We also have, and I'm going to quickly show it, I'm not going to open it, the VAT book. Here we have it, the VAT book. Here we have the VAT report previously with its different filter fields. We also have the purchase report and the sales report. The sales report. All these reports we are going to have at hand when we install and purchase our Uruguay localization for Business Central. Okay? Finally, I invite you to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and activate the notification bell. I also invite you to visit our website where you will find all the information about who we are, what are our locations, our products as LLB Retail, trainings, webinars, and much more. Thank you and see you in a future video.